Everyone, my name is Todd Rossnagel. I serve as Director of Communications for the Louisiana Conference, and welcome on this Tuesday, December 16th at 2 o'clock. It is time for the Clergy Compensation and Payroll Prep webinar. We are glad that you have carved out time to be with us here today. This will take approximately 40 to 45 minutes. Depending on questions, it could take a little bit longer. I want to remind everyone that this is a Zoom meeting, technically a Zoom meeting. So please, if you are not speaking, please mute your microphone. That would be best for all of us so that we can give our undivided attention to those who will be speaking. We will be stopping periodically throughout the presentation for your questions, and we will have time at the end for questions as well. And this webinar is being recorded. We hope to share this recording sometime later today and have it available on our YouTube channel. In the event that you want to go back and look at this material again, or if you want to share it with someone who may have missed the presentation. So we are just about everyone is in the room. We have a couple of people here that I need to admit. And looks like we have everyone here. Well, some people are joining late, but without further ado, relatively new face to the conference, and that is Steve Barlow, Director of Finance for the conference office. Steve, take it away.
Thank you very much, Todd, and I want to welcome everyone to the Clergy Compensation and Payroll Prep webinar. As Todd said, I'm Steve Barlow. I'm the conference treasurer and director of finance of the Louisiana Conference of the United Methodist Church. Today, you're going to notice a consistent theme throughout the webinar, and that's the subject of change. We're going to speak of the change in HealthFlex. We're going to speak of the change in COMPASS. And we're going to speak of the changes that made your clergy compensation form look different. Let's start out right away about discussing change, and that's me. I'm a recent hire, and I'll bet many of you don't know me. For those interested, let me refer you to the recent episode of the Louisiana Now podcast, which features Dr. Van Stinson and Todd Rossnagel and me, titled Watching the River Flow. It's about my call and recent hire. There's also the announcement of my hire on the Louisiana Conference webpage, dated November 4th. Enough about me. Let's talk about the important people here. With me today is Allie Young, the Director of Equipment Ministries, Michelle Geruso, Conference Benefits Officer, and Sandy O'Brien, whom I'm sure you all know, the Interim Conference Benefit Officer. You all know Sandy, and she is here to help Michelle explain the changes and guide you as much as possible through these changes. Thank you all for registering for this training. By doing so, you have already noticed that this webinar is designed for those enrolled in COMPASS and or HealthFlex. This includes half-time people and above. You should all have your specific page 1 and page 2 forms in front.
Page 2.
Hey, Steve, it looks like you're muted on accident.
I'm sorry. I was muted on accident. I hopefully sounded the same. Let's go back. We'll talk about you should all have your specific page 1 and page 2 forms in front of you. These were emailed to you by Sandy O'Brien, halftime people before Thanksgiving, the HealthFlex people right after Thanksgiving. It should come by email from Sandy O'Brien. Look it up if you don't have it. If in an emergency you truly don't have it, contact your district AAs. They're standing by. They're going to get them out to you as soon as possible. That may not mean during this session, but they're going to give their best. We're going to use sample forms for your purposes. You're going to want to use your specific form. So find it if you can. These forms look differently to you because of the changes caused by both COMPASS and the new HealthFlex plan. We're here to assist clergy and the local church payroll preparers. We are sympathetic to the changes thrust upon you in connection to both COMPASS and the new HealthFlex plan. We are committed to getting through these changes with our clergy and local churches. Please feel free to submit your questions to us throughout the webinar. Please submit them during chat. Submit them through chat throughout the seminar, and we're going to take periodic breaks to address the questions and answers you have at the appropriate times. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Michelle Giarrusso, the Conference Benefit Officer, who's going to recap page 1 before we move on to page 2. Thank you all for your attention. Michelle, please take over.
Thank you, Steve. It's great to be here as part of this webinar. As Todd mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we do ask that you mute yourselves. I think some people may still have their sound on. So if you can find that mute button, that would help us because we're hearing some background noises. Give you a moment to try to find that. All right, we're going to start with page 1 of the Clergy Compensation Form. Page 1 was approved at charge conference and should not be changed unless there's a compensation or an appointment change. If you have more than one appointment, you should have a compensation form, both pages 1 and 2 for each appointment. Page 1, which we're about to go over, outlines the local church's responsibilities along with the benefit obligations for their respective clergy. On the screen, you will see an example of Reverend John Wesley's 2026 compensation form, page 1. Reverend John Wesley has a single full-time appointment to First UMC, single. If you look at the far left side of the page, you're going to see numbers listed. They're pretty small, but they're there. These are the line numbers that we will reference so you can follow along. Page 1 shows how we calculate the total planned compensation, which is needed to determine the retirement contribution. I want to point out that these amounts are on an annual basis. What you're seeing on page 1 are annual numbers. We're going to start with section 1, which is the base compensation in the amount of $40,400. That's on line 10. Line 10, that number's all the way to the far left. So this is step number 1, your base compensation. Then we go to section 2, which is the cash housing or parsonage value plus utilities and other housing related expenses paid for to the clergy or on behalf of the clergy. Well, that's a lot. Let's break that down for you. If you look on line 25, you will see the cash housing allowance in the amount of $10,000. Reverend Wesley does not have a parsonage. If he did, then we would need to go over an additional calculation, but let's stay with what's on this page.
Todd, could you go to the next slide?
So let's stay what's on this page, and I'll go over the parsonage calculation later. On line 26 is the utilities allowance in the amount of $6,000. So the total planned compensation for the benefits calculation is $56,400, which is shown on line 20. This is the base comp of $40,400 plus the cash housing allowance of $10,000 plus the utilities allowance of $6,000. Now let's talk about if there was a parsonage used in lieu of the cash allowance, the cash housing allowance. To calculate the parsonage value, you would add the base compensation plus the utilities allowance and multiply that amount by 35%. The total planned compensation with a parsonage is the base compensation plus the utilities allowance plus the parsonage value. Now that we have the total planned compensation calculated, let's look at the benefits paid by the church. We're going to work with what is paid to Reverend Wesley, which is based on having the housing allowance in the calculation. Section 3 starts on line 31. These are the benefits paid by the church. We're going to start with item 4A, COMPASS. This is the non-match of 5% of the total plan compensation, and this is on line 35. The total plan compensation of $56,400 is multiplied by 5% to calculate the non-match in the amount of $2,820. We go to line 36, item 4B is the COMPASS match. The match is 4% of the total plan compensation and calculated by multiplying $56,400 by 4% to get $2,256. The church will be billed at 4%. This amount is not dependent on what the clergy personally contributes. If the clergy contributes less than 4%, the church will still be billed at 4%. This was voted on by the Board of Pensions and Benefits and voted on by the annual conference. The Board of Pensions and Benefits will evaluate the effects of the cash impact on the churches for the year 2026. Let's move on to item 5, CPP, which is 3% of the total plan compensation. CPP is for clergy that are 3/4 time and above. This is found on line 39 or 40. It's kind of hard to see where those numbers are for that one, in the amount of $1,692. For half-time clergy, there's an option to participate in UNUM, which is calculated as 2% of the total plan compensation. Forms must be completed to participate in UNUM within 60 days of the effective date of 1/1/26. Let's move on to line 45. Item 6 is the clergy health insurance, which is the blended rate billed to the church. This is not based on the clergy's HealthFlex elections. Then we move to line 47, and this is going to show the total of all benefits billed. Again, remember, this is on an annual basis. Section 5 are the accountable reimbursements in the amount of $1,000, and that's shown on line 49.
Next slide, Todd.
Then we go to line 50 for the grand total, which is clergy cash compensation, utilities, housing, benefits, and expenses in the amount of $83,728. Before we move on, Allie, do we have any questions at this point?
We've got a request to make the page bigger. Unfortunately, we're limited in our ability to make this bigger on Zoom, which is why we hope you have your page 1 in front of you to follow along. If you have questions and need help to go over your individual form, do know that the benefits office is able to take one-on-one appointments as needed to help you go over your individual form. Sorry about our size limitations on Zoom for the images, but hopefully you can follow along on your own page 1 by the line numbers and see what we're talking about.
Yeah, we've also had some folks complain about the blurriness of the images, and again, we're limited with the file size that we have, and then of course with the compression on Zoom, that's probably making it even more blurry. So again, we do apologize. This is difficult to take a spreadsheet and do this over Zoom. We're doing the best we can. We appreciate your patience.
And Todd knows we love our spreadsheets around here. And as Allie said, we will take one-on-one calls, so please feel free to call if your questions are not answered today. Now I'll ask Sandy to review how.
Can I just ask one question? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Can you just go over the parsonage value one time if you think that's necessary for us to know, since it's already calculated on the form?
Well, we're telling you the parsonage value because some people, when we were doing the comp forms initially, people were asking, how do we calculate the parsonage value? So that's why we wanted to explain how it's done. The benefits calculator does do that for you.
Okay.
Did you need me to go over it again? Is that what you're asking?
No, as long as we're just using that amount, and that's all we need to worry about. Okay.
Right. It's just to help you understand where these numbers are coming from.
But I just wanted, like, what's the value, like, times what? It said base
35%. It's the
base and utilities times 35% is how you get the parsonage valuation.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, now I'm going to ask Sandy to review how page 1 reflects the information on the new format of the monthly billings to the local church. Sandy?
Thank you, Michelle. And that was a great overview of page 1. It does look a little bit like last year's, but not quite as much. We did have to incorporate quite a few changes due to the COMPASS and HealthFlex plans. What you see on the screen before you, and again, I apologize for the size. It is difficult to see, but hopefully we can download some of these examples and get these out to the participants who are attending today. And you can maybe go back when you have those in front of you and compare it and listen to the video again. But in any case, this is on the screen is a prototype of our new monthly benefits billing statement, and it incorporates both the COMPASS and HealthFlex changes. I really want to go through this very slowly and demonstrate how on the new comp form of page 1 is used in preparing the monthly benefits billing statements, which is what you as local churches will be receiving. These changes represent a significant shift in processing information and money on behalf of clergy benefits. On 1/1 January 26, Westpath will begin billing the conference directly for all COMPASS contributions, both the local church and the clergy part, as well as the HealthFlex elections. All of these elections have to be maintained by Westpath and the conference in tandem. Westpath will bill the conference monthly, and the conference will bill the local church. The local church will withhold the clergy pieces of this, and then finally the local church will send or remit the monies to the conference as shown on the new monthly benefits billing statement. So this is a very important statement. There should now be no funds sent directly by the local church to Westpath for either COMPASS contributions or HealthFlex elections. Everything will come between the local church and the conference office. So that is why it is critical that we maintain records in tandem with the local church, the clergy's wishes, Westpath, and our own records. So let me repeat, there will be no funds sent directly by the local church to Westpath for either COMPASS contributions or HealthFlex elections. All of those funds and billing will flow between the conference and the local church. So what has been implemented is what encompasses the church's responsibility as well as the clergy's potential payroll withholding responsibility for COMPASS and HealthFlex. The slide before you presents the new format, which is somewhat similar to the old. It's got a spreadsheet look, so bear with us. We had to create some examples for you for this webinar. Your old statement look will be very similar to what your new statement looks like with a little bit more detail, and I'm going to talk about that right now. So the statement that you have before you really has two important components to it. As Allie shows her arrow, Allie, if you could move up to the blue box that says page 1. The first part of this billing statement refers to the church and the employer's share of the benefits. Michelle just went over that information with you, and those were annual amounts. And what you see here reflected are going to be the monthly billed amounts for that portion of the benefits package. So you'll see all the different pieces. The bill is addressed to the church. It's got the clergy's name. It has a month reference that the billing month, you'll see 12 different months. We usually bill at the beginning of the month, and you will see this every month. So in this regard, this top half of the statement looks very similar to what you've seen before. Note that John Wesley's name is on the side. That's our example. He's our clergy. If you have a bill or the church receives a bill that has another clergy's name on it that is not your clergy, we ask you to let us know. We do make mistakes, and there is an awful lot of information to keep reconciled between the various databases. So this section at the top has all the various components of the church's portion of the benefits. The second part, briefly, Allie, thank you. If you go to page 2, is where we bring in the infamous page 2 that is now in everyone's hands, hopefully. And this represents what the clergy may or may not be responsible for regarding both his COMPASS contributions and any impact from HealthFlex elections. And we're going to really drill down into this as we go through the webinar. But this is a comprehensive billing statement, which goes back to the statement I made that all monies will flow for benefits will flow between the local church and the conference. The local church does not need to send any more paperwork, money, funds to WestPath or HealthFlex for that matter. So I think we're ready to go to the next page, Allie.
I think we're ready.
Thank you. So again, this is a very new process, and it does take quite a bit of understanding as to the new part of this. But I want to just review the old part, which is what you're used to seeing, what was billed to the church on behalf of the clergy. You'll see on page 1, on line 35 of your comp form, there should be an annual total for the COMPASS non-match that you're seeing that Allie's going to point to next, I believe. Okay, for our sample, which again, I understand you don't have, but John Wesley's total for his COMPASS non-match was $2,820 annually. We convert that to a monthly amount, and you see the $235 in the monthly current billed amount there. Thank you. So that's the COMPASS non-match. Likewise, the next line corresponds to line 36 on page 1 is the COMPASS match. That was shown as $2,256 for John Wesley. We converted to a monthly amount of $188. Those amounts will not change on a monthly basis unless there's an appointment change or a compensation change. And then likewise, same thing with CPP, the Comprehensive Protection Plan, the life and disability insurance benefit. On line 39, you'll see that there's an annual amount of $1,692. We convert that to a monthly amount for billing of $141. So that, what you used to see on your previous statement was just a line called pension, and it included all of the retirement and the CPP. We've broken it out for clarification and to show you exactly where the numbers are coming from. The final line on this top portion that belongs to the church's share of the benefits is the health insurance. That should, if you're a full-time appointment, the annual total, the blended rate that we bill to every church that has a full-time appointment is $19,560. This is the church's share of the overall health insurance cost, which is different this year if a participant chose a different plan. And I'll get into those specifics in a minute. But converted to a monthly basis, you can see we're billing that at $1,630 per month. So again, the top half of this should look very familiar, of this benefits billing statement should look very familiar with even a little more detail than what we've provided in the past. So you'll be able to cross-check us. I encourage you to sit down with the compensation form of page 1, cross-reference to these line items on the left-hand side, and make sure that we are billing correctly, because a lot of balls can be dropped between here and there, if you will, on getting all of the information in correctly and in tandem with each other. So let's go to the next slide. Oh, I think I was going to ask if there are any questions on this particular part, Allie. Can you?
So we actually had a question a little bit before. If we can circle back to page 1 for just a second. It came in late.
Okay.
Beth DeUta has a question about if housing and utilities can be combined into one figure, or if there is a tax law requiring them to be broken out.
We have to be careful not to give tax advice. This is a representation that the clergy makes in the declaration in how they prepare and file their own taxes. How they break it out is up to them. If they want to put it on one line, then they need to be able to justify that in the event, an unlikely and unhopeful event that they are audited by the IRS. It is entirely up to them.
All right. So check with your CPA.
Yes. Any other questions?
We also had another question about MEF contributions. We will walk through MEF contributions, the Minister's Emergency Fund, in just a little bit toward the end of the presentation. So we will address that. Don't worry.
Right. Right now, we're just focusing on the new billing statement. The top half that looked a lot like the old billing statement. And now we're going to get to the next slide's going to show the new part of the billing statement. So using our example from John Wesley, and again, I do apologize for how small it is, but if you're looking at your own page 2, you should be able to follow along pretty well. I'm going to go through it pretty much line item by line item. The first two things you see are the total plan compensation, and there's 2 lines here. This is in case you have a parsonage. If you would have had a parsonage, then the blue box would be greater than the green box in this case. In this case, this person, John Wesley, had cash, housing, and utilities, so he did not have a parsonage value. So his compensation, his base compensation and his total plan compensation is the same. So let me find out where I am on my screen. The important thing to understand is that the page information on page 2 represents what the clergy has declared for several items. First, their COMPASS match and how that's going to look, and then their HealthFlex elections. So again, we cannot emphasize enough that if any of these things change, and we'll talk about which ones can change and which ones are kind of set in stone for the year, cannot emphasize enough that if a clergy makes changes to how their withholdings are being recorded, they also need to let the Conference Benefits Office know that, so that we can then update our billing and WestPath as well. So please keep us updated on any changes on page 2. It's just better to let us know. That way we're all on the same proverbial page 2. And a final note on page 2 before I really get into the details, and we will drill down and you'll be able to see it a lot better. Most of the information on page 2 has some Form W-2 reporting implications for the clergy. And this is where the preparer of payroll or the tax reporting payroll person needs to be aware of what the clergy has selected, because it needs to be reported correctly on the Form W-2. We really do recommend that you discuss this with a tax professional. We are not that person. We can't help you, unfortunately, in that. You need to speak with someone who is outside of the in the tax professional world, and one who is preferably familiar with United Methodist clergy tax rules. So let's drill down a little bit more on this page 2 if I go into the next slide. So here we go. So this is, hopefully you can see this a little better than you saw the previous page. This is the top half starting with the COMPASS match. So the COMPASS this year was a big change for everyone because we had to start matching it at 4%. Clergy were required to maximize their retirement benefits. They had to maximize the contribution at up to 4%. So the information you see here was what information that we gathered either through the basic data gathering form before the charge conferences were actually held, or we've had phone calls with you or emails with you. So we accumulated all this information over the last several months, and it resides here on your individual page 2 of your comp form. We ask you again to look at it, make sure it's correct. If there's anything that you think is wrong, please let us know. We'll go through it. Some things can change, some things cannot. But the COMPASS piece, there were 3 basic ways you could meet your 4% COMPASS match, and that was use of qualified student loan payments. I'll speak about that in a minute. have some or all of the 4% withheld from your paycheck, or make a lump sum contribution directly to WestPath. Let me say a word about A and C, because those two qualified student loan payments and lump sum contributions directly to WestPath are actually made independent of the conference. Those transactions and that process is going to be directly between the clergy and WestPath in this case. That we are not part of the process to receive information on qualified student loan payments. WestPath is supposed to be providing additional information on what the documents that need to be submitted, when they need to be submitted, and how they need to be submitted. So what I want to focus on is really small letter B, Allie, one above that, anything that the clergy has elected to have withheld. And this is where this is what affects the clergy's paycheck. So we marked yes. And our example, John Wesley happened to want to contribute $7,000. The mathematical calculation tells us that that's a 12.41% contribution rate, which is outstanding. And not everybody can do that, obviously. This is an example. But what it does say, tells us at the conference office, is that John Wesley, as a clergy person, understands that he has made his 4% match. That's a great thing. If you have not made your 4% match, someone from the conference office will contact you or has contacted you about making sure that that is what you intended, because we want every clergy to maximize their retirement benefits, and making a 4% withholding contribution is the way to do it. So if you take John Wesley's $7,000 contribution and go to Section B, Allie, the COMPASS Payroll, deductions from the clergy's check, what this section does is the clergy is telling the payroll preparer how he wants his contribution to be designated, his COMPASS contribution to be designated. And there's three main ways. The pre-tax, which is tax sheltered item, you don't pay federal or state taxes on it. You will continue to pay self-employment taxes. It's not sheltered from that. Post-tax, which is just exactly what it says. You make contributions to your retirement plan and you pay the taxes on them before you make the deposit in there. So it's not sheltered. And then C, which is a lot like B, is Roth contributions, which I believe it has some different treatment in how earnings are treated for retirement purposes. So our example here, John Wesley only chose to make a pre-tax contribution of $7,000. And I want to make it clear that to the clergy that you could choose any combination of these three in how you want to have your withholdings and to meet your 4% match. Again, that's your decision. It's not ours. This is a culmination of the information that we received over the course of the last couple of months. So that really shows how the decisions you're making and how you're going to make your contribution, how that actually filters down all the way to what you're going to have deducted from your paycheck. And let's talk about that. Go to the next one. So in B, $7,000, 12. Oh, I'm sorry, Allie. Previous. Did I say go to the next slide? I apologize. Could you back up? Okay. I do mean to go to the next slide. I apologize. Next section, section 2, is where we reflect what the clergy's choices are with respect to health insurance. So as all full-time clergy were eligible to enroll in the HealthFlex plan. And as you went through that process, you understood that depending on the number of people that you were going to cover on your plan, you were eligible for certain premium credits. And premium credits were nothing more than buying power that allowed you to go out and choose either a medical plan, a dental plan, and a vision plan, or any combination of those. So this section on 2A will tell us that our sample, John Wesley, actually chose a plan or a combination of plans that exceeded his premium credits by an annual amount of $650. Okay, that's an annual amount. So for the payroll preparation piece, your payroll preparer will need to divide that $650 by the number of pay periods you have, and that will be part of the bill of the lower section of the new billing statement that we'll talk about in a second. This seems to cause a lot of confusion, but this is only in the event that you did choose plans that exceeded your premium credits. If you have none or zero in any of these boxes under Section 2, that doesn't mean you're not enrolled if you're eligible. It just means that it was zero or none. So you just didn't have any excess premiums. So you won't have that impact on your paycheck. Okay. Going down to Section B, 2B, it shows that John Wesley chose to make contributions, and I'll do B and C together because they're HSA. One is HSA and one is FSA. He chose to contribute $2,000 to his HSA and FSA each, which that's an annual amount. So that amount will show as $166.66 or 67 cents on the monthly billing statement, and then your payroll preparer will have to convert that to a per payroll for calculating the clergy's net check. So you can see how each one of these has an impact on the clergy's payroll check outside of anything that the conference chose or that the church chose, but it does need to be included when the preparer of payroll is preparing the clergy's payroll check. So I'm going to stop there for a second in case anyone has a question. Allie?
We've got a couple.
Okay.
All right. The first one is wondering if we will continue doing automatic withdrawals for pension and insurance payments. And by pension, I'm sure we all mean COMPASS.
Yes, absolutely. Same
continue
process.
To do ACH process.
Yes, that will continue. I don't see the Board of Pensions wanting to stop that.
And then similarly, curiosity for those who have lay employees who are enrolled in UMPIP, if that money will be sent to Westpath or through the conference office.
Okay, let me say the question one more time. I think I only heard the second half of it.
Will lay employee pension be sent through Westpath to the conference office or directly to Westpath?
Okay, that's a very good question. The lay is a totally separate plan, UMPIP plan, and that will continue to have to be sent to Westpath by the local church. So I guess I have to qualify my statement that there shouldn't be any monies going from the local church to the Westpath, just related to clergy benefits.
Okay, and then one more just popped up. Does the dependent care FSA also go on line 2C?
No, I apologize. I meant to get to line 2D. That's where I believe the dependent care information will be put. That's where we've been putting it when you enrolled in HealthFlex and they offered that as an option. It would be treated just like the HSA or FSA contribution. An annual total would be put there. It would be converted to a monthly amount, and then for payroll preparation purposes, it would have to be divided by the annual amount would have to be divided by the number of pay periods to get to the clergy's net check. So it would go on 2D.
2D.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody else have any other questions or need further clarification? I'll give you a second.
Allie?
Yes.
Hey, a quick question. Okay, so on the additional clergy employee contributions, the HSA personal contributions, right now, we're making those to American Health Resources. Is that something that will continue, or as Sandy was saying, that will flow through the conference office as part of HealthFlex?
That will flow through the conference office as part of HealthFlex. It will be through Health Equity.
Okay.
And
that's good, as long as I know which direction the water's going.
Yeah, everything will be remitted to the conference office through Westpath.
Thank you.
Right. I will add that American Health Resources, your money, if a clergy or lay have money in those accounts stay intact for a period of time. We will be working with American Health Resources to see if they can roll those over if the participant wants that to the new HSA plan. But you will not be sending money anymore to American Health Resources after December 31st. I mean,
Okay.
for 2026 contributions, not for, you may have a 2025 contribution that falls over into 2026, but not for 2026 contributions. So everything is going to flow through the conference office, which is why we need to know about it so we can put it on your monthly billing statement. You can withhold it, and then all the money gets sent to either HealthFlex or WestPath as needed. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, we got two more. Does the church need to stop its auto payments to WestPath, or will they stop automatically with the change?
I'm going to answer and ask Michelle to weigh in. It's my understanding that they will stop because they're no longer going to be billed as UMPIP or Chris DC or whatever anymore. It's all going to be COMPASS, and COMPASS has a new structure in place so for billing and collecting. So I'm going to say that. Michelle, do you have any further information?
I have to agree with what your answer is. We haven't heard anything about that. But you know me with my belts and suspenders, Sandy, I would probably just go ahead and stop that payment if it's an automatic payment.
That's good advice.
All right. And then the last one, if we chose a HealthFlex plan that had, so it's not the conference placing money in the clergy HSA, it's actually HealthFlex placing money in the HSA, just to clarify. So if we chose a HealthFlex plan that had HealthFlex placing money in the clergy HSA, is that reported on this document, or is there a secondary document that will show that total? So that money is not recorded on this document because it is part of your HealthFlex plan. And I believe that is reflected in your eventually what will be your HealthFlex portal online. Am I correct, Michelle? Are you nodding?
Yeah, I was nodding. Yes.
Okay, sorry.
So yes, I think that is the case. And then your statement at year end would also reflect that.
All
From
right,
the
so you'll get
employer side of it.
that documentation through the HealthFlex. Okay, following Drew's question, is this money put into our HSA considered income for tax purposes?
No, I believe WestPath and HealthFlex has structured it as a cafeteria plan, Section 125 plan, which means it's pre-tax. So all of these items are pre-tax.
Are there any others anyone needs to throw out before we move on to the second part of the billing statement?
Allie.
Yes.
That brings up another quick question. You know, in the instructions we receive with the annual audit on W-2s for the clergy, there's the part about, you know, let's say that our particular clergy, you know, is making personal contributions to the HSA, and in the past or currently, what is it, $100 a month in the amount that's billed to us is considered an HSA contribution, so that when we're putting that on their W-2, we have to kind of put those two numbers together. Is it all going to be through? Will that continue, and that will all go through HealthFlex, or does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. And no, the $100 will not continue, but there may be other monies that you need to report like that. And that's, I think we're waiting to get some clarification from WestPath on how to communicate that to the local churches on what needs to go for each clergy, what needs to go into the various HSA components on the W-2.
Okay, good.
I understand your question. It's a reporting on the Form W-2 question, and we're waiting for some instructions, to be honest. So,
okay, sounds great. Thank you.
WestPath is in the same boat as us with adding on some new HealthFlex sponsors and also switching to COMPASS in the same month. So we're all a little thin right now. So thank you guys all for your patience while we work this out together. We're working really closely with WestPath and trying really hard to get these questions answered. So thank you. They help
Appreciate it.
prompt us to ask the right questions. So thank you.
Okay, so I think unless we have more questions on this slide, I'm ready to go to the next one, Allie.
Let's
And
do
here
it.
we're going to try to bring it all together to show how what the clergy is electing will be billed by the conference and also impact his or her paycheck. So this is the lower half of that very first prototype of the billing statement I showed. It is a new part. Page 2 corresponds directly with your page 2 of your comp form. You see the line references there. And this outlines what the clergy participant is responsible for through withholdings by the local church. So if we just kind of go through each item, our clergy COMPASS clergy contribution amount on line 86, if you take that $583.33 multiplied times 12, you will get back to that $7,000 that we saw John Wesley was going to contribute in a pre-tax contribution to his COMPASS. So that's where that number is coming from. 7,000 annually divided by 12 is the $583.33. Likewise, his share of the health insurance that was, again, in excess of the premium credits that he was allowed. He bought more expensive plans, and the clergy will be responsible for that additional cost. It was $650 as shown on line 88. That equates to a total of $54.17 on a monthly basis. So again, whoever's preparing the payroll will need to take that out of the payroll check however many times you get paid per month or per twice a month or semi-monthly, bi-weekly, or even quarterly. Some clergy I know are even paid quarterly. Anyway, that's between you and the clergy. We're just giving you the information to calculate the withholding at some point. Fourth line is the health savings account, and I'll do line 89 and 90 together, the health savings and flexible spending. That's the $2,000 our John Wesley decided to contribute to each of those. That equates to $166 per month for each of them. And that again is reflected under the clergy's share of the benefits of billing on this particular example. That gives the clergy will have had $970.83 per month withheld over his paychecks. And then the local church will actually remit the entire amount of $3,164.83 to the conference office. Because the new piece of this is that WestPath bills us for both the church's share and the participants' share. So the conference is paying up front, we're billing the church is paying us, we're going to be paying WestPath. So, and if there were any additional Section 125 benefits, that would be on that final line, Allie, line 91. So again, I'm going to stop there for a second. Any questions? So it's just critical, if we just go back to a second, the page 2, for you all to look at that, especially the clergy, and then get with your payroll preparer, your finance committee, and make sure everybody's clear. Call the conference office. We are available. Michelle is wonderful at taking one-on-one phone calls or emails. And we will, get everything in sync and make sure that the benefit statement is in total tandem with what WestPath has and what you want. So we want to make sure we have spent a lot of time and energy getting those records reconciling with each other.
So
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Please.
My question is, St. Matthew is part of a charge with Asbury. So I know previously with Reverend Chickamara, the money that he wanted to put extra in his pension, the check was sent to the head church, which was Asbury, from St. Matthew, and then Asbury was sent the total amount that both churches is given, were given to the conference. So what's different now?
Well, I'd probably prefer to look at his situation or her situation individually, because it sounds like it's at least two churches on the appointment. And so there is some discussion that has to occur between the clergy and each of the churches on how he wants monies withheld from his or her paycheck. So it's really a side conversation that we need to have a discussion with you and the clergy person about how that's to be handled.
Okay, thank you.
We've had a request for some of these examples to be provided on our website, which I think we can do. Just know that they'll, obviously yours will be different, but we will take care of that along with this recording. We will make sure that is available to be posted. And sorry, we will get to MEF. I promise. That deduction, I promise we're going to talk about it. Just give us one more minute and we will get there. We got a question about how do you make changes or adjustments to contributions are deducted within the approved charge conference limits. So, Wybra, are you specifically talking about HSA and COMPASS deductions? Yes, he's talking about HSA and COMPASS deductions. So, Michelle or Sandy, can I leave that to you?
I'll answer it and I'll ask Allie to back me up. It's my understanding that the only thing that needs to go through charge conference is what's on page 1. Okay. And that is the church's responsibility on the COMPASS, non-match, match, the CPP, and the flat health insurance rate. Any elections the clergy makes individually, it's my understanding that does not have to go through a charge conference. That is an election that the clergy can choose to make. Now, regarding the timing of it, I believe there is a time frame for submitting changes and when they actually go into effect. And maybe that's where Michelle, I know like if you decide to change your HSA in the fourth quarter, I think you have to give it at least a month's lead time in order for us to be able to coordinate that with Westpath and also your preparer of your payroll check. So, Michelle, do you have any information on that?
So let's say we're talking 2026, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
So for 2026, we've made our elections. And let's say February, you realize I need to have more withheld for the health savings account. So you would notify us and you would notify your payroll preparer in February when this occurs, but it won't be effective until March because we need that time to get the information to Westpath for billing purposes. So it'll be typically a month delayed, or the following month is when it would occur. And the same thing for COMPASS if you made changes there.
I believe both of those changes can be made through your Westpath online through Westpath, but again, you need to make sure that you're notifying every one of those changes so that they can actually be accounted for in your deductions. And to Michelle's point, there is a date. Westpath has not told us actually what day of the month they've decided on. I think it's prior to the 5th. It can be effective for the next month. After the 5th, it will be the following month. So if you let them know on February 5th, billing has already gone out, so it'll be effective for March. And if it's after the 5th, they're already processing and can do it afterwards. Okay, so does that clear it up, Wybra? Are we good before we move on?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Wybra. We had another question about our HSA under American Health and if that stays intact. And the new HSA would be opened under HealthFlex. So American Health Resource, those HSAs will stay open. I believe the processing fee will come out of your balance from now on. No? Sandy?
No, we talked some of this is still being determined, but we agreed to pay the fee for the first 6 months while people were either transferring the money or deciding to use it or whatever. So the conference will continue to pay the account fee. I think it's $3 per account per month for the first 6 months. But we do need to circle back. Michelle and I need to get back with everyone on what they want to do with their account after the 6 months, because we will not be responsible. If you leave money in there after the first 6 months, the fee will revert to being due by the owner of the account, the individual. So there's a 6-month grace period, is what I'm saying.
I will
Can
add,
it be automatically transferred?
it cannot be automatically transferred. There is a form that will have to be completed. We don't have access to that form yet, but as soon as we do, we will send that out to all those who currently have funds with American Health Resources.
Thank you.
So again, the money in the HSA is the individuals. The conference will not take back anything and will in fact cover that fee for 6 months. So we're just trying to give everybody as much lead time to do something with that in the future, either spend it or eventually even roll it over to the new HealthFlex HSA plan.
All right. Are there any other questions on billing? All right. Well, then let's move on.
Okay, so I just want to wrap up by saying I'm going to turn it back over to Michelle, who's going to bring it all together so that we can finally have a full and complete picture of how the new clergy compensation form, pages 1 and 2, will be interfaced with the new benefits billing statement. So, Michelle?
Thanks, Sandy. We know this is a lot of information that you're hearing today. We want to tell you the 2026 billing is providing more detail than you've had in the past. As Sandy has gone over with you, our current statement shows pensions in a summary form as one line item, and then medical as one line item. Now we're providing each part for you. We're trying to show you in detail, maybe more detail than you want to know, but we're giving that detail to you. The church's shares on the top half of the form of the billing statement, and the clergy showing the clergy deductions, the payroll deductions are shown on the bottom half. Those deductions, again, are for personal COMPASS contributions and HealthFlex elections, if applicable. The church, as we say, the church will continue to receive a monthly billing statement. We will still process the payment via ACH. It's important that you review the statement when you receive it. If you see anything that you have questions about, please call us. Hopefully we have everything in there that's supposed to be there, but we do make mistakes. So if you see something that doesn't look right, we need you to call us and let us know. Also, as Sandy pointed out, we do need you to call us if there are any changes that the clergy makes to COMPASS contributions or the health savings account contributions through the payroll deductions. This information impacts what is billed by WestPath for both COMPASS and HealthFlex, and in turn, what is billed to the church by the conference. Also, keep in mind that the COMPASS and HealthFlex payroll deductions have an impact on the clergy's payroll check and their Form W-2. We ask that you seek the advice of a tax professional if you're unsure of how to process the payroll deductions. Let's pause for a brief moment to see if there are any other questions.
We do. Just, I'll go ahead and ask this one. If the clergy has an extra deduction for COMPASS or HealthFlex outside of the church match, which we're no longer doing the $100 match, that has ceased, will it still be remitted through the conference? So any HealthFlex buy-up plan, so any additional amount that exceed the premium credit cost, or any deduction outside or withholding outside of that 4% matching contribution for COMPASS, all of that will continue to be billed through that bottom portion of the statement that we just showed you. All of those expenses will be listed out in a monthly billing on the bottom portion of that statement. And then we also had another question about when the church should expect the first statement in the new format, which I believe will be in January.
It will be in January. I can't guarantee what day in January that first billing will come out. So just bear with us. We have a lot of information to key in. So please be patient with us. We will get it to you as soon as we possibly can.
And while we're on that note, just to let everybody know, the entire WestPath system will be down from January 1st to January 5th while they redo their system for Compass. So if you try logging in prior to the 5th, don't freak out. It's going to reset and it'll pop back up on the 5th after a couple of days of maintenance. So try not to stress through the new year. You are covered beginning January 1st. You just may not be able to access everything immediately online. So it will be available. They're switching to a new system of their software, and they warned us that it won't be immediately available on the 1st, but they are going to work very diligently those first 4 days of the year to have it up and running as soon as possible.
Okay, I think that covers the questions then. So I'm going to turn it back over to Sandy because you all want to know about the Minister's Emergency Fund. So Sandy, if you go ahead and tell us about that, please.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. Yes, a word about the Minister's Emergency Fund. This is strictly a voluntary contribution. It was put on the comp form many years ago as a way to raise awareness and hopefully get a few contributions from clergy to support this ministry that has helped a lot of clergy over the years with some emergency situations. The recommended standard amount is 0.005 of the base compensation, the cash compensation. So I don't know how that equates to each clergy's individual situation, but it amounts to really probably less than $500 for most, less than $200 for some. That's just the recommended amount. If you want to just give $100, that's all. It's up to you. It's 100% driven by the clergy. If you put an amount on there and we have it listed on your page 2, you can choose to either pay it directly to the conference when you feel like it, or you can have it withheld from your paycheck if you choose to do so that way. If it's withheld in your paycheck, we just ask the church to periodically remit the money to the conference with the form, the apportionments payment form marked, Minister's Emergency Fund, a miscellaneous gift, and designated as such. Again, this is 100% voluntary. If you feel like contributing, you can. The conference, will not be billing any church for the pledge of the Minister's Emergency Fund. That is strictly between you and the Lord and your church. So that's all I have about the Minister's Emergency Fund, unless someone has a specific question. Allie, anything?
I'm looking. I'm not seeing anything, but you can pop it in and we can circle back. Okay. There were some questions, and I know you're about to get to it, but if you choose to have income tax deducted, does that need to be reported for this form?
No. That was my next comment, was about the line 95, the federal and state local taxes. Again, this is probably a holdover from what we saw on prior year's compensation forms. And really, the withholding of state and federal taxes by the church on behalf of the clergy is a matter between the local church and the clergy person. The conference really is not involved in that part at all. We really don't want to handle withholding taxes at all for the clergy. So that really will likely come off of next year's compensation form. If it's helpful to you, we can leave it. If it's not, it's no problem. It does not have a conference implication, though. So that is strictly between the clergy and their own church. I will give a little word of caution. If you do decide, local churches, to withhold taxes on behalf of your clergy, please make sure that you are cognizant and aware of all the reporting and remitting rules regarding withholding taxes. You do not want to be in a situation where the taxes have not been remitted accurately or timely. That could subject you and the local church to significant penalties from the IRS. So that's all really, just be careful. So I think that wraps up my section unless someone has a question about that, Allie.
Are there any final questions from anyone? All right, seeing and hearing none, I think we're ready.
Okay, well, this is Steve Barlow returning. And before I ask Eileen to offer a closing prayer, let me give my warm and heartfelt thanks to those in participation today. I think the presenters have been remarkable. Sandy O'Brien, Michelle Gerosa, and Allie Young. Also, Todd Rossnagel of the Communication Department has been a huge help. And of course, I want to thank you, the clergy and the church payroll presenters, for your attendance and interest in today's subject. I believe this has been a helpful, tremendous webinar. I hope you do too. If you like this format and maybe want more webinars or more subjects or something in financial matters and such, let me know what's on your mind. Write me an email. We'll take care of that. This session has been recorded. It will be available on our YouTube page. And please know that we are here for you. The benefits office will always be available to take one-on-one phone calls. Thanks again. And Allie, would you please offer a closing prayer?
I would love to do that. Let's pray. Good and gracious God, we give you thanks for the gifts of administration, because, Lord, we know not all are blessed with such gifts. We thank you for the volunteers and the bookkeepers and the record keepers and the administrators in our local churches who give of their time and their knowledge and their expertise to ensure that our clergy are paid for the good and holy and sacred work that they do. God, we pray that you would be with us in this season of change, that you would help us have patience, that you would help us see clarity where there might be confusion, and that you would help us to continue to do the holy work that you've called us to build and connect disciples, to do transformative work. God, we love you and we thank you and we pray in your Son's holy name. Amen.
Amen.
So friends, thank you again so much. We are greatly appreciative of your time and energy. And once again, it is a sincere invitation that if you need one-on-one help, Michelle and the rest of the benefit staff really do mean it. Give us a call, set up an appointment. We would love to help you. The door is always open. So many blessings to you all in this Advent season. Merry Christmas. And we hope that you all have blessed Advents and find some rest along the way. So thank you very much, and we'll see you all soon.